Welcome, everyone, to our latest installment of the Southwestern Career Connections podcast. I'm Tyler Good. I'm the Director of Public Relations at Southwestern Community College. And right there is Mike Despo.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here with you again, Tyler.
He's our Director of Career Services. And I'm telling you, there is nobody in our area who has a better feel for what's going on in the employment climate in Western North Carolina than Mike. So glad he could be here. The whole reason we started this podcast, honestly, is because we know there's a lot of people hurting. A lot of people have lost their job during this pandemic. And we just want to offer hope. We have more than 40 programs at SCC that can get you on a new career path. And I guarantee you'll find something in there that is perfect, something at SCC that is perfect for you to find an essential career. But I also want to welcome our guest this morning. We have Scott Cline. He is our Information Technology Programs Chair, and he's also an instructor here, and I've known him a long time, so we're glad you could join us, Scott. Also, we have Travis Lewis and Ryan Carman from SkyFi. So glad you guys could be here as well. And Mike, I just thought it'd be good to start off, if you don't mind. We're talking about SkyFi, we're talking about internet access, we're talking about access to jobs. And you were telling me this story last week that I thought was really great about how you kind of live in a remote area and haven't always had the most reliable internet access. And I wanted you could just kind of share that with the folks listening today about how you came about having the connection that you're using right this very minute. And you're crystal clear on my screen, by the way. So go ahead.
That's great. Well, like so many people in our community, I just, if we weren't doing this virtually, I'd want to kind of reach through this screen and give Ryan and Travis a big old hug. Because, I'm a historian, and I think Jody, one of our, our career counselor, and she's recording this today. She is also on SkyFi. So two of us in this production are teleworking today, as we do on Friday mornings from SCC right now. And so many companies and businesses are doing, and we're using SkyFi to produce this today. So my story is pretty fun, and it's definitely we had to almost will this into being. But I'd been talking to Travis for years. I think I'd bought some tile and carpet from Lewis Carpets back in the day, and so we've known each other, and we're neighbors up in Little Savannah Valley. And so it just occurred to me, even though we couldn't see a SkyFi tower at our house, that there was a local mountaintop that I got a clear view from my goat pastures. And so just about a year and a few months ago, I just been talking to Travis about it, and we got the keys to a gate from a property owner down in Florida, and we got on an ATV and we went to the top of a mountain, and we looked down, and sure enough, there are my goat pastures. And we looked across, and we could see two of his other towers, one at the Jackson County Airport, I think, and Travis said, "Yep, I can do it." And so I rented a trencher from McNeely's that I thought I'd broken, but Tim Green, our local fire chief, and another neighbor came up here and looked at it and said, "Son, you're out of gas." But that's a good story in and of itself. But I trenched 300 feet through heavy rock on my driveway all the way over to the goat pastures, put a little electric feed over there, and to power a receiver from which I could bounce a signal over to my house. And SkyFi was just amazing. I think we went up there on a Friday, and on a Monday, Travis had looked into purchasing a little bit of that mountaintop. And then within just a few very, very short months, he had written and secured a large grant and built a tower and beamed internet, and it worked. I can catch that internet, I can throw it to the house, and here I am on high-speed internet at the top of a mountain, producing a video cast with you, Tyler, and it's just a real success story. But we spend a lot of time talking about essential jobs, and there's so many types of essential jobs in our communities that people are performing to keep things going. And our kids will be at least partly doing online school this year. I am teleworking right now. My wife will be teaching online at Western, and it's all made possible by SkyFi. And I cannot begin to imagine the positive effect that this has had on so many families in our community who have last mile internet, or even if they're not last mile, they have fast internet because of Travis and Ryan and their real hard work and this small success story of a well, it's growing of a company. We'll hear more about that in a minute. And so thank you for providing internet for so many of our students and our faculty and our staff and our families in this community. So that's my story. It's pretty good, I think.
That is, it's a perfect segue into what we're talking about today. Like we said, access to the internet has never been more vital because of this pandemic. If this pandemic had happened, 30 years ago, can you imagine what it would have looked like? As far as teleworking was not even an option. So I'm glad that you have good internet access. And right now, like we say, there's what is it? 1 in 5, or maybe even more than that, Americans have had their employment impacted by this pandemic. And a great career field, if you're one of those people, is this, because information technology has never been more vital. And a guy who knows a lot about that is our first guest this morning. I remember Scott when Scott first arrived at SCC, and I still think of him as the young guy in there. And we've known each other a long time. How long have you been there, Scott?
I've been at SCC for 20 years altogether. I started in 2000.
In 2000, if I was going to guess, I would have said 99. So I was 1 year off. But tell us a little bit about what you do at SCC. How to kind of trace us through when you started to today, and what your role is now, and maybe tell us all that stuff first.
Well, when I first started at Southwestern, we didn't have all the programs that we have now. Things have kind of changed quite a bit as far as the program names, but for the most part, I mean, I started off as a program coordinator for one of the IT programs, and now I'm the program chair for 3 of the IT programs altogether. And when I first started, we were teaching in the classroom back in 2000, and probably 2001 is when I first started teaching some classes online. And basically just been teaching online ever since. And I basically just am the coordinator for all those 3 different programs.
That's perfect. I have to, as the marketing guy, I just have to break in here. When you say that you taught your first online class in 2001, and before that we had ITV classrooms. And one of the taglines we've been using to kind of try and help people understand why it's a good idea to come to SCC this fall is we've been perfecting distance learning for more than 20 years. And it's so cool that you were you taught one of the first ones that was actually on the internet. I think that's just brilliant. But Travis and Ryan, we're glad y'all are here. So thankful to you for coming, for providing Mike Despo with his internet. And would you mind just real quick introduce yourselves? People who are watching can see who's who there, and also your roles and your titles at SkyFi.
Well, of course, I'm Travis, and I'm one of the owners of SkyFi. It all started somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 or 6 years ago is the concept come up, and it's a story, and we'll get into that a little later. I'll let Ryan introduce himself.
Ryan Carman, site owner and network engineer. We do all the fun programming.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you guys again for being here, and look forward to talking to you in a minute about your company and also what you're looking for in employees, because the people who are listening today are people who are looking for a career field, and we want to help take them through the whole process. But Scott, I thought it would be fun. We were talking about how long you've been at SCC. Could you kind of walk us through the history, maybe just compare then and now, teaching techniques, how far along everything has come?
Well, as far as technology goes, I mean, I think some of the biggest changes from then and now is just the change over to mobile devices. I mean, the difference between the power of the computer back in 2000 compared to our cell phones now, even our watches now. Our cell phones are probably even more powerful than our computers were then. And our watches, smart watches and everything, it's very similar to the same thing. They're getting close to the same. And I mean, there's lots of just the change in technology. It just happens so quickly. And as far as teaching areas, we looked at, when we first started, we were teaching all in the classroom. And probably about 6 or 7 years into teaching, we decided to make a transition for some of our classes over to online. And then basically we found out that the demand was there for the online offering. We had many more students wanting the classes online than were wanting to take it in the classroom. So we ended up transitioning all of our IT programs totally online, just because that's where the demand was. We have so many students that have kids at home at full-time jobs, and they're needing to take classes, have that flexibility to take classes. And so overall, I mean, I think the biggest change is we're transitioning to totally online for our IT related classes.
Yeah, as you talk, I know whenever we had to transition to a virtual college this spring, and I know it was traumatic for everybody concerned, but I can't think there's any particular area of the college that was better positioned to make that move. How did that go for you?
Oh, it went well. We were actually already set up for that since our classes were totally online already. We had some networking classes that were not online out of the networking program, but we had plans to transition those starting this fall to totally online. So we were pretty much set up for that already. And so it was a seamless transition for us.
You were ready to go. Want to move over to Travis and Ryan. Travis, you started out a minute ago to tell us about the concept behind your business and how long you've been in business. Tell us a little bit about the origins and the concept. You kind of flesh that out for us a little bit.
Yeah, it all started about 6 years ago. I received a phone call one day from Verizon, and the conversation was, Mr. Lewis, did you lose your cell phone? And I'm going, no. They go, well, your bill is more expensive than it's ever been. And I go, define expensive. And they said it was about right at $700 for the month. And we were a week into the new month, and he said, your new bill's already at $400. So right there is almost $1,100 in a month and a week. And come to find out, my daughter was taking some classes, doing some streaming, and we'd went over on the overages on the internet, and they just had billed us. So I thought there has to be a better way. And we got to checking into it with Frontier and some other companies, HughesNet. And I wasn't happy with the product that HughesNet offered. Frontier said we lived in an area that they couldn't service us, and there was no other cable companies or anything like that. So I got to doing some research. But long and short, I was having lunch with one of my relatives and just catching up. And I asked him what he was doing now, and he said he owned a wireless internet company, a WISP, in Cherokee County, which is in Murphy. And I asked him a little bit about it, and we got to talking, and he said, that would be good for your area. And I said, it sure would, because I need internet at my house. And one thing led to another. They helped me get it started, give me some technical advice and just some basic training. And from that moment on, we were off and running. It took us about a year to get through ordinances and planning for the towers that we have to build. That was a challenge, but Jackson County worked real well with me, and we got those ordinances changed to make it easier to build the kind of tower that we build. And we are right now in the process of trying to get Macon County to change some ordinances to go to an administrative review instead of a commissioner review, so that we can head over into that direction. But it's all been good. We're steady growth from that point. We're somewhere between us and our sister company in Bryson City. We're somewhere around what, Ron? 2,000 customers? Just about, yeah. So, and we're growing every day. Four to six customers a day.
Awesome. So, and that's, you say in less than 5 years, you've grown your business to this point. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Did you notice during the pandemic, when everybody kind of went to teleworking, did you notice a surge in the usage?
Yeah, there sure was.
Describe that.
Even some of the fiber providers said that they noticed it too. So it was just a lot more usage.
So we went from our bandwidth cost, just we didn't increase in customers, but our bandwidth doubled during that. I'd say within the first month and a half of the pandemic starting, and we could tell that from the workers at home during the day. And it's basically, our internet was just like any other company. It would have limited usage during the day, more usage at night. It's hard for us to tell the difference between morning and night now with the usage during the day.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, Travis and Ryan, just to make sure, because this is kind of a high stakes conversation, I didn't want anything to go wrong with it. So before we started at 9, and I know this wasn't necessary because SkyFi is so strong and reliable, but just out of pure superstition, I went in there and told my 11-year-old to get off his computer game, my 15-year-old to get off of his online lesson, and my wife to quit streaming videos that she's building for her class. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's a typical family right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maxing it out. We're talking about IT today, and Scott, you are the chair of all of our IT programs. Could you just break down for kind of list off the ones that we have at SCC right now and give a little background on each?
Well, we have 4 main IT programs altogether. We have software and web development, and that's typically where you're designing web applications or creating computer programs for people to work with. We have support and services, and this is more of a tech support type area, and you're offering tech support. Either you could be working at a business or you could be working a phone system for somebody. Some examples of that, we have students that are working at Drake Enterprises working phones, or we have people in the hospital system that they're actually going out and working on the computers there in the hospital system and working with the doctors and getting their computers set up for them. And then we also have network management. And this is where you're setting up computer networks and learning about how they communicate together. And then the last one we have is cybercrime technology. And this is one that Kirk Stevens actually coordinates. But you learn about data recovery and you learn about network vulnerabilities and different things related to that.
Good. Yeah. There's very little that makes me more angry than the hackers. And I wish I was smart enough with the IT side of things to go into something like cybercrime, because every one of us sometime has wished we could go after those kind of guys. Tell me a little bit, Scott, about over the years, kind of who is the ideal person? Like what kind of attributes do they have to go that would make the ideal candidate to go into your career field and have a successful career?
I think the ideal candidates would be someone who likes to problem solve, somebody who likes to figure out problems, and somebody who likes to make things communicate together and work together. There's so much in all 4 of the IT areas where they're working on solving issues that people run into or creating things for people to use. And a lot of it, of course, depends on what you want to go into. For support and services, they have a lot of dealing with people through tech support. And then you can have people that don't like dealing with people and they like to just be private and they want to create their own computer programs. And then that same type of area, depending on the job, you might be working as a team creating computer programs. So it really varies on the types of students that we have that come into our programs. But ideally, we want somebody, like I said, that likes to problem solve and likes to make things communicate together.
Those are good skills for life, no matter what field you go into. Speaking of like problem solving, I know there's a lot of that involved in what you guys do, especially when you were starting your business, Travis. But during this time, especially during this time when everybody, like not just Mike, not just me, but everybody has needed reliable internet access in order to function. Describe for me how essential, have you kind of felt an added layer of responsibility in this time to make sure of that it is so essential that everybody have good internet? Talk to me a little bit about that added weight on your shoulders, I guess.
There is an added weight for us. As we all know, most people are working from home, and a lot of people have essential jobs that depend on good internet. We have teachers on our system that teach online classes. So when something goes wrong or something's happening or something's acting up, it's like Mr. Cline said, it's problem solving. We have to jump in there, try to get that problem fixed as soon as possible. We do have some issues with wireless internet. The biggest issue that we have is storms, lightning storms, electric storms. They can knock us out in a matter of a second, and it could take a couple hours to fix. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to interject there, Travis. I was talking to Ryan just the other day, and he reminded me of another way that y'all solve some problems for people, whether they're kids trying to complete their classwork or somebody else who got knocked out off the internet or needs internet. Y'all perform a special service right in your parking lot, don't you?
Yeah, I'll let Ryan talk to you about that.
Yeah, we have a free Wi-Fi in the parking lot for kids. They're doing all their schoolwork online, so they can come up to the parking lot here and download their books and whatnot, and teachers' videos and whatnot, so they can do them at home if they don't have a good stable connection at home.
And
that is awesome.
On another area to provide that service.
Yeah.
In the Tuckasegee area, near the Caney Fork area, there's going to be an access point for children up there. And we've had moms and call us and say they've had to download a video for their students, and one mother expressed that it took 6 hours to download one video that should have took 30 seconds. And so we deal a lot with that. And one of the hardest things that Ryan and I have to do is tell people, I'm sorry, our signal's not strong enough to get you at your house, but maybe in the future.
Sure. Always trying to grow, I'm sure. Where, speaking of growth, where do you see the future jobs in telecom and the internet? Where do you think those will be in the future?
I think wireless is a stepping stone to fiber to the homes. So eventually, I'd like to see every home in Jackson County have fiber to it. But until then, wireless is the next best thing. As far as job goes, we need good problem solvers. We need good networkers that understand basic computer skills, understand radio frequencies, and we can use some good employees down the road as our business continues to grow.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we close, I wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of have a few seconds just to share anything, maybe a topic we didn't get to. And Mike, if you had any additional questions for any of our guests, please feel free to ask them now. But we'll start with Travis and Ryan, each of you, if you have any closing thoughts here before we close out.
No, but we do appreciate you bringing to light the need for good internet service. We're the North Carolina Department of Information Technology is going to sponsor another grant that Jackson County and Macon County and Swain County is going to be eligible for. We're looking forward to that process to hopefully get some more funds to help us grow faster. That's the limit right now. It's we can only grow as fast as our money will allow us, and any help that the state of North Carolina can help us with is appreciated. The federal grants are a little bit tougher to get. They're a little bit more complicated. So I don't look for any of those type grants to come, especially to SkyFi. They may come to some bigger companies in our area, and hopefully some of those companies can get them and expand the internet to help out our students and our teachers and everybody that's working at home from here on out. And it seems like this is going to be the way it's going to be for the next several months, maybe longer.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Ryan?
I just, it's also good for relaxing too. You can watch Netflix and watch all your shows and stuff too. It's not just all about work all the time.
Boy, that is such an important point, Ryan. I mean, I don't know that there's been a more stressful time for the whole of humanity,
Exactly.
and I'm desperately missing sports personally. I'd give anything to watch a football game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having some way to decompress and the internet allowing access to that entertainment is powerfully important. And let's not forget that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Mr. Cline, any closing thoughts from you, sir?
Well, two things real quick. One is, I went many years teaching online, and I had HughesNet for a while, and that just wasn't reliable, and it costs like crazy. But now I have Skywave, which is the sister company to Sky5, and it's just been amazing having internet way out where I live and everything. So it's just been great to have. And then the other thing is, as far as our IT area, when we first started out, and for many years, we were our students were having to search for companies to find employment and everything. And lately, it's been over the last few years, we've kind of transitioned to where we have more and more companies that are interested. They're contacting us and contacting the school or contacting our IT faculty, and they're wanting our students to come and work for them. And that's kind of sometimes the biggest issue is the fact that we don't have enough students to fill all the potential job openings that are available and everything. So that's one of the things that we run into also. But I mean, we're definitely having many employers come and reach out to us now. And a lot of that also helps out with Mike Despero helping us out with that and everything. Sorry.
Oh no, that's such a good point, though, Scott, about your program. And you and I have talked about this so many times, and it's something that the listeners, that I want them, if you're listening today, to understand is there are so many jobs out there right now, and Scott's told me this for years. I remember we had a conversation 3 or 4 years ago with the entire staff of your department, that there people calling and saying, please, we need some graduates, and we can't pump them out fast enough to fill all the jobs. So if you're looking for a career field, and something we've said today has kind of struck a chord with you, I really encourage folks to go on our website and get signed up before classes start. But before I go too far down that road, Mike Despo, any closing thoughts for us today, sir?
Yeah, I just, as we've talked about before, something like over 70% of community college students across our entire state have reported that their incomes have suffered during this pandemic, and they've lost work hours or jobs, and so here we are, and SEC students are no exception. And so Scott Cline is training them for meaningful employment in essential positions, and companies like SkyFi are evidence that those types of positions are out there, and opportunities, and it makes me think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And just think about life being a big pyramid. We're all climbing it and trying to achieve the top of it, which is, everything is fulfilled. We've got everything we need in life. We've done what we want to do. But to get there, you've got to have a strong foundation. And in the model, they always say food, clothing, shelter, which certainly are essential. But I would add internet to that. So food, clothing, shelter, and internet are critical for us to take the next step into Scott Cline's programs at SCC and then into jobs. And so I'll just wrap some things up where the rubber meets the road. Also is career services at SCC is positioned to help students and alumni and any member of our community connect to real jobs. And I think just yesterday, Danielle Whittekind of Haywood Electric Co-op over in Waynesville posted a job on our SCC job board for a software specialist, and they're interested in Scott students. And so I sent the job to all of those enrolled students and to Scott Cline this morning. And you might know some alumni out there, I hope, Scott, who would be interested. But there are really meaningful jobs out there. We're also lucky today. We've got a drop-in guest, Scott Baker, who's our CIO IT leader at SCC, and I would say that SCC and Western are two of our biggest IT departments in the immediate region. And Scott, you've seen some of your students go that way. Scott Cline, Scott Baker, are you able to attest to that? Have you hired any of our students?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, Mike. Yeah. So in the IT here at the community college, we have, probably half my staff are either graduates or have taken courses at SEC, including myself. So we definitely hire those that are trained here at the college. I can attest that it's really important to have, that baseline of training that they're going to get. Thankfully, the IT career field allows for really an agnostic application across the board. So while we do create jobs or create students for jobs in our service area, those jobs really can be anywhere in the world. So while we do like to see, most of our graduates do like to stay locally, but that you're not handcuffed to the area either. But we do like to see them matriculate into areas at the college or to businesses like Travis's. So we really like to see, that penetration of students. A couple things I will add, I've worked with Scott Cline since I've been here at the college in 2004 in different capacities. And I can say that we have one of the, if not the best in the North Carolina Community College system for IT programs, and just the depth and breadth of what they can actually take and get trained and they're ready to do. So I can attest from students that are graduates that have come straight out into the jobs or ones that have worked other places. They do a great and outstanding job. So I want to thank Scott Cline and his staff for that. To Travis's company and the sister company in Swain County, we've actually, really stressed the importance of internet's really going to at some point be utility, and the importance of just across the region of how important it is. You have people that won't buy real estate if they can't come and get high-speed internet where they live. So if you went and ask a realtor what are some of the most important things, if they don't have broadband access at the property where they're going to go, the likelihood of it selling is pretty minimal. And both Scott Cline and Mike Despo can attest, living in remote areas, that back when you bought the property, if you knew what you knew now, you might not have bought that property there, not knowing if you're going to be able to get broadband there or cell signal. So those are all important things. And I think to Travis's point, it's be really important that we get things in place. That the government doesn't want to get into the internet business, but they definitely want to help businesses get that penetration. So advocating for that, I can tell you that we definitely, we've partnered with Skywave down in Swain. I worked with the folks there that they got grant funding to put in external access points that we put them in our Swain Center. So they actually got grant funding and providing the hardware that the public and people at SEC can come use that property to get broadband access for that. And then here in Jackson County, we have a myriad of students and employees that use the services. So I just want to say thank you for being here today, and I appreciate everything that you guys do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
That's all I've got, Tyler. These guys just have covered all the bases. I'd just say the one last thing is anybody interested in any of these career fields, come see Jody Waldrop, our career counselor, or myself. All job seekers in our community who are interested in positions in technology or any other field, please check out the SCC job board, which is on Career Services website on SCC's website. So.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Scott, for jumping in as well. One thing I hope people who are listening are picking up on here is from the minute you arrive at SCC, you're surrounded by support and direction towards your future career. The minute you arrive, you can meet with Mike and start planning and getting ready for whatever career path it is you want to follow. And this is the time. This is the best possible time to go ahead and enroll at SCC, because we're 2 weeks away, just a little over 2 weeks away from the start of the fall semester, August 17th. So speaking of online access and everything like that, we have built a really nice page on our website with the help of Scott Baker and his team. We've got a page up that will help you walk you through the whole enrollment process. We make it easy and seamless. So I really encourage you to check out our website at southwesterncc.edu, or you can just Google it or look it up on your smartphone. But we encourage you to get started on the process now, so that you can hook up with Mike Despo and get in Scott Cline's classes in time for the start of fall class, because all the employers out there are ready for you to come join the workforce. Also, just wanted to plug for next week on our digital series, we are going to be talking about college transfer gateways. And you want to talk about, we have more than 40 programs, but when you go through our college transfer department, you can literally go into anything you want if you start here, and we'll save you a lot of money if you come to SCC first. So please check us out on Spotify. Check out our past episodes. We've covered a lot of essential careers so far. We're going to cover a lot more in the future. And special thanks to our producer, Austin Warren. He got us on Spotify, and I think that's just really awesome that we have this out there for people. Or if you catch us on social media, you can go there as well. Thanks again to all of our guests for being here this morning, and I hope everybody has a great week.